Yeah, baby. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Again, not much bicep action due to the time of the year, but we're not really missing out on that much. Gotta get back to training. It's been crazy busy. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today we're checking out Brass Band Soloists by Fracture Sounds. Again, one of those companies that are one of my favorites in the orchestral instrument sampling business. What I really love about them is just this kind of pure, clear tone. Things are always just, I don't know, super pure and clean sounding. Playability is a big thing when it comes to Fracture Sound stuff. I feel like they're really pushing the envelope there as well. And I think they're kind of transitioning possibly even to the very forefront of that area, because they've been adding a lot of stuff with, well, first of all, at a rapid rate, but the improvement rate has also been pretty crazy. And based on what I've seen of this so far, it seems to be, you know, pushing onwards and upwards. And also like that the libraries are sort of, they've always been, you know, if we think about some of the pianos, like Woodchester piano, super vibey, but to me, it has felt more like a kind of a 2D kind of a emotional vibe musicality. And with their latest releases, like String Formations, which I absolutely love, they're kind of adding a new dimension to things entirely. So I can't even imagine where this company is going to be in like 5 or 10 years. I think they might be, you know, in a very special place at that time. Let's leave it at that. So what is this thing? Let's go to the website. Indeed, it's soloists, so no sections, solo instruments. And this is subtitled Lyrical Legato. So indeed, like a solo legato focused library. I will say right out of the gate is that they have a tremendous video on legato on the Fracture Sounds channel. So you should go and check that out. It's kind of like an introduction to how legato is done in the, you know, sampling instruments and programming them, but it's also a, you know, a showcase of what Brass Band Soloists does and is doing. And there's a lot of really cool things in there. Based on everything that I heard and saw there, I kind of, you know, subscribe to their approach. It seems really cool. And I think there are a couple of new things in there as well. So this should actually be pretty sophisticated from like a tech perspective. But Brass Band Soloists brings together the finest instrumentalists in the north of England with a refined interface and innovative legato programming that produces unparalleled realism. Cool. Pricing is right in front of our eyes. So full price for this is going to be 169 euros. Intro price is 129 euros. And this is going to end on the 5th of November, which is like half a month away, a bit more than that. And again, I am a bit late with this video. This was released some time ago, but I've just been overwhelmed with life. We had our second kid. We also had a release for the video game that I've been working on. And then I started a new project altogether. So I've just been not even in the studio much at all. And whatever I've been here, I just haven't been able to do the backlog of videos that I have. But we're back in business. Sorry for being late, both to Fracture Sounds as well as you as a viewer, in case you depended on me. I failed you, Master Bruce Wayne. Whatever. So a bit late with this, but hopefully it's going to be useful to some people. I'm sure some of you haven't even heard about this because, well, you can't really hear about absolutely everything, nor are you interested in absolutely everything. But hopefully this will be useful. Runs in the free content player. That's good. NKS compatible. 24 gigs download size. Seems pretty, what's the word? Reasonable for something like this, based on what I've seen is in here. I think based on the amount of text here, I'm just not gonna, read all of this for you, because this is pretty exhaustive. Not exhausting, but exhaustive. I think let's go here. So this is the manual. I think this was sort of maybe laid out in a way that's more reasonable for us for this video. So, I don't know, maybe it's some of the same text. Showcases the recordings of some of the finest brass players from the heartland of brass band music, Northern England, captured in the expansive studio space of the Nave. I still don't know how to pronounce this. I want to say Nav because it feels better in my mouth. That's what she said. And the Nave, I think it must be, if I follow the phonetics of... Anyway, collection features legato, long sustains, and short articulations that embody the melodic and lyrical qualities of brass band performance. So that's good because, they said legato, so I expected it to be only legato. So if you also get shorts with this is super great. Overall, by the way, I'm very excited to have a potentially great solo brass library as well. You can't really have, can you have too many of them? I don't think so, but I feel like there's still some space for that kind of diversity in my setup, so that's good. Seamlessly designed to blend with your existing orchestral brass libraries, offering a range of warm, nuanced sounds. Cool. New interface, spatial and legato controls. Nice. System requirements. Works in content player 6.7 or above, and you do need native access to install this. Minimum hardware required, 16 gigs of RAM or above, 8-core CPU or above, store library on solid state drive, as you should be doing, you dirty person. Installation, pretty basic, just native access stuff. Brief history. This isn't any lighter on the text. But yeah, they talk about the brass band background and legacy in the British realm. I'm legitimately sure this is actually quite interesting, but since you're not probably here for a history lesson, we're gonna move onwards from there. Instruments: soprano, cornet, Flugelhorn, as they say in Sweden. Flugelhorn. Tenor horn, Euphonium. Nice. Interface overview, but we'll go through that ourselves. Smart mode. So yeah, again, go watch that legato video. It's super cool, super interesting. And my nose is running, which is not very interesting or nice. But smart mode, basically a bunch of really cool approaches here. They compensate for MIDI delay, all kinds of predictive and past dictive things going on here. Very cool. Go watch the video. Classic legato. You're going to speed control, which is great because then you can control the legato speed, which is a really big thing if you're going for fast notes versus slow. Then they have a really good section of which legato mode should I use. There are merits about using both modes, depending on personal workflow preference, etc. We feel smart mode is the best mode for most use cases, provides much more greater ease of use, particularly when editing MIDI. Those who are comfortable playing with variable latency for the benefit of having a snappier response may prefer classic mode. Either way, you choose. And yeah. Instrument placement is a new feature in brass band soloists. Really cool, providing 3 options that offer greater control over positioning in the hall of the nave. The nave. Beyond what can be achieved with the microphone mixes alone, in situ. When in situ is selected, the instrument will be positioned exactly as it is supposed to be situated, exactly as it was during the original recording. This option provides the most natural sound while still allowing you to use the microphone mixer for further sound shaping. And then there's a picture that shows what's up. Custom position. You can place an instrument in any given position in the room. Cool. Very interested in hearing whether it kind of messes up or what's the word? Whether it fucks with the imaging. So yeah, center stereo. Okay, as if it's in the center of the room. Frequently asked questions, all kinds of things like that. I'm going to put you there. Also, there was a kind of one sheet thing. But I don't think this is for public viewing, so I'm just not gonna balls it up and put it over here. So yeah, this was released 2nd of October. We touched on the pricing, which ends, the intro price ends on the 5th of November. There are some bundles apparently available as well. So if you want to get this with Petrichor, which is a good library as well, probably will pair actually pretty nicely with this. That's in dollars 179, in pounds 159, and in euros 179, including VAT. I think this is a change they made at some point, which I think is probably good because people buying stuff and then going to the checkout and seeing that it costs more than they already kind of agreed to in their mind. It's good to have that included. Then you have the Nav bundle, or the Nave, I guess. Brass band soloists, string formations, Tom Factory. That's a badass combo. $329, 299 pounds, or in euros 329, including VAT. And again, that's until 5th of November. I really like these bundle things when they release a new thing, a new library, because they are rather reasonable offers. Really cool thing from like a business standpoint. I enjoy that. Cool. Touching articulations, separate the legato and long articulations into vibrato and non-vibrato. Cool variations, ensuring a smooth transition between styles without any doubling effect when switching to vibrato on solo instruments. Okay, playing velocities below 100 MIDI thing will trigger slurred legato, while harder velocities will trigger tongued legato. Okay, yeah, so that's something I'll definitely probably need to wrap my head around. And cool, I think that's it. We shall take ourselves to the thing itself. So let's start looking at this super nice interface. These have been getting better and better with pretty much every single release that they're doing. Everything is super clear, clean, very nice. I love this color scheme, or these shades, whatever you call this. Really nicely done. Top row dynamics control, which is mapped to your mod wheel here. Same thing. Color cuts or boosts the presence of the instrument. Cool. A stereo width, pretty self-explanatory. Reverb, and some cogs next to that controlling type. So you got room, hall, shimmer, convolution, and you can adjust size, damping, and modulation. To the right, you got your miking positions with close, mid, and far. You got this fantastic perspective slider, which kind of in proportion adjusts the balances of this. This is, I think, what every single library in the world should have that utilizes miking positions. So much faster to find the perfect mix with this than it is adjusting them individually. Again, nothing against individual adjustment either, but this is just better in my estimation. In the middle boxes here, you got your selection for, you know, the articulation. So legato, vibrato, legato, non-vibrato, sustain vibrato, sustain non-vibrato, staccato, tenuto short, tenuto long, performance short. Sorry, the performance shorts you put on when you go to the gym. So it's good to have it here as well. Then you have this new box instrument placement. So in situ, I don't know how that's pronounced, but I'm going to go with that because it feels good in my mouth. Again, that's what she did say. Custom positionings and then center stereo. I'll probably be, unless there's something very bothering about where the thing is, I'll probably use the standard thing. And if it, because the thing is, like, when you record an instrument in a stereo way, in a stereo placement, a beautifully sampled instrument is captured perfectly resonating with the space that it's actually in. And if I begin to digitally mess with that, is it going to bother me? It really depends on how it's done. So this is not like a... again, if it's well captured and the text choices that they've made in moving them around are done well, then it can be perfectly fine. But in most cases, I'm probably the most captivated by the natural capturing of, of the instrument in its space, assuming that it's captured beautifully. Legato settings, you got smart and classic. Again, I'm probably going to play with smart the most. You can control latency here, by default set to 150 milliseconds. And then you can choose to delay CC data. Global controls dynamic range, very useful to have that there. And then squeaking key switch. Jeez, it's been a long day. Key switch range selection there as well. Very cool. When you open this up to the side panel, side rack view, this is what you have. You open up instruments, get different NKIs. So you got solo cornet, solo soprano cornet, solo Flugelhorn, a solo tenor horn, and solo euphonium. So just the instruments that we already listed that are in here. Very simple, nice and sweet. In terms of what you'll be hearing today, it's only brass band soloists in action. I don't add anything, no EQ, no reverb, no nothing. It's only as this comes out right out of the box. I have a limiter on my master bus, which is set to be as transparent as possible, which I utilize to make the level for this video as consistent and decent and listenable as possible. If there's any clipping at any point, it's probably the limiter. If it is, I'll let you know. And if it's the library, I'll certainly let you know. But bear with me as I adjust the level per, customize it for each sound that we use. In terms of the agenda for this video, we're just going to play each and every instrument here, and then we're going to try and play all of the articulations as well. I can't do all mic positions and all colors and all stereo widths and all positions for each because I have a life, but well, that's debatable. I have a life, yes, but I'll go into these as often as I can and where my curiosity leads, but hopefully this will still be maximally useful for you. But we'll just try and play as much of this as we possibly can. Transparency, Fracture Sounds did send me this copy, so first of all, thank you to them for doing so. Secondarily, as always, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. Anything else? I don't think so. So let's start with the solo cornet here and get a level going. Very nice. I mean, again, what I expected is instantly playable. Just does exactly what you want it to do right out of the gate. It's a very interesting instrument. It has a very nice mix of textures because this low end is pretty buff, nicely resonant, bit of texture there. Then it gets into kind of a more sort of horn top mids, very nice soft, and then kind of like a thinner trumpet type of thing. So very nice. Yeah, very, very, very nice. Just quickly touching on the mic position, let's do a close one. It's actually really nice. Usually close ones alone get sort of really cramped and choked sounding. But this is actually very nice. And distinctively, you can also hear that it very much changes the perception of how the legato works. It still sounds great, but it's just a very different thing because we don't have as much of that space in there. That slight click is a bit of a clip on the limiter. Let me pull that back. Very nice. I very much do enjoy that. Let's pull the mid all the way up and I'll actually solo that. Let me pull up the level again. That close one had that really like a big transient spike in one of the transitions, which is why I had to pull back the level. But that one doesn't happen here, so. So I really love when an instrument, when I need to spend, don't need to spend a ton of time juggling the dynamics all the time. I like to have like a general control when I want it to like push back and come forward. But now I can have this at full and I can play these lines and it's kind of expressing itself beautifully. Obviously we could pull it also back. And it has like a softer tone. But I really like to have libraries that sing beautifully and kind of already sound musical and lyrical on their own, and then I can just use this as a fine-tuning thing. Not as much like, it depends. If the part is softer, then I want the dynamics in the middle to already be imparting a different texture than like the top third at least. But yeah, I mean, this sings beautifully. Mid miking sounds very, 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 very stunning. Let us do the far mics. That's beautiful imaging. Let me push the level because it gets quieter the further out you go. Beautiful. Yeah, I've been super impressed by the mid and the far miking positions on several of the kind of the latest Fracture Sounds releases. They're just really beautiful imaging. They really know how to capture either this space in particular or whatever they're doing. It's really, really nice. Let's quickly do the custom position here. We'll see how that changes things. Again, to me, that sounded really nice. And I'd probably go with the standard positioning in most cases. But custom position, I'll throw it to the right here. We'll see how that sounds. Probably need to pull back the level here, I would estimate. Obviously it's to the right more, so the level isn't as high, so I can actually increase it. Okay, cool. Sounds great. Let's do the original one. Okay, we're clipping because the level is a lot hotter. So again, this sort of sits and breathes better to my taste. This is the custom one. It sits beautifully there. It's very believable, natural. It doesn't quite have the imaging part, but that's to be expected because we're, you know, playing with it. Let's push it all the way to the mid back. Again, this is working really nicely. Again, this is the original. We have to pull back the level again. I will say this custom works pretty nicely. I probably actually will play with it more than I expected, because it does sit quite nicely there. So this way you can, you know, make your own positioning setup if you have, you know, certain instruments that are captured in a certain way and you can't tweak them, and you have this and you can tweak it, then I'd see how that works. But also that gives a very different tone. very different color to it altogether. So actually, this is turning out to be far more useful as kind of a coloring tool than I expected. But yeah, the positioning sounds pretty natural, and in some ways kind of it's different, but it can also be better. Let's put it to the left. So yeah, good job on that. Let's move on. Let's go to legato non-vibrato. Very nice. I love this as an option because it does have quite a significantly different tone. Subtle thing, but will make a massive difference in the context of a music. I don't know if it's even that subtle, but again, like a professional detail, you know, they realize, okay, this will make pretty big difference, so let's do it. Okay, we got sustains vibrato. So I'm guessing this one doesn't have legato. Yeah, so you can... Why is this sustaining? Okay, we do have a note hang there. So I was warned. I did in the email was told that there have been some note hang issues here and there. At least I think it was typoed, so I'm not sure it was a note hang. But that's what I interpreted that to be. So maybe that was that, but we'll continue and see. So yeah, this doesn't legato. Yeah, you can hear that. So let's do some simple sustains. So I'm personally not a big sustain user. I just don't see why I would use them, because in most cases they just don't have the movement, the realism of the legatos, and just those tiny details of moving from note to note. For example, that I would never play like a chord like that. I would just break it down to the instruments that I want to have playing, and then I would just write those in individual parts and have those played in legato parts. I know why these are included, because a lot of people do use sustains, and if you're in a, like, there are parts where you debatably might not hear the sustains being used, and yeah, in many cases you wouldn't if you put some more reverb on it, or if it's like a backing element and it's mixed with another element and they kind of mask, so you can't really hear what's happening. Entirely possible. I still prefer to write the individual parts for the instrument that's doing it, or have multiple instances of that instrument, because even if there's some movement, in most cases you'll hear the naturalness of the legato transitions. But hey, I don't judge. If you use them, you use them, and they're here, so that's a good inclusion from that perspective. Sustained non-vibrato. So they don't go super loud and super quiet. They go quite quiet. I like that initial sampling beginning, but it does have a bit of already a bit of tension to it. So it could go quieter, and certainly could go louder as well. So they don't like get hyper dynamic. They don't growl like that. This is stylistically sort of more subtle. Let's do staccato. All right, so in terms of latency here, that is, I really can't play fast with that. I've got samples at 256, so I'm going to change that to 100. Also used in the demo, the video where they talked about the legato. So obviously this is not legato, but I'll see what this feels like. So this is velocity based, not mod wheel. So still a bit slow. If I go to classic, well, it doesn't do anything because it's legato only. So yeah, so this is a bit slow to respond. I would struggle to play fast stuff with this at this buffer size. I would need to go down even more. That's what she said. So I feel like that could be snappier to my taste. We'll see, this is only one instrument, so we'll have to kind of compare it. Tenuto short. That was the limiter clipping, pull that back. Tenuto long. Alright, then we have performance shorts. So this might maybe be doing what staccato was that I thought it would be. So I don't actually know what performance shorts does, other than the ones you put on when you go to the gym. Let me try and find that in here. In the manual. Performance shorts, a multi-articulation that contains all three shorts triggered by velocity. Okay, yes, okay, this is what they... Yeah, dynamics are controlled by the mod wheel. Okay, interesting. So that would probably maybe be something that I find difficult to wrap my head around as a player and etc. So I would probably use those other things individually. It's maybe a bit too demands too much precision from my part. Let's move on to the next instrument: solo, soprano, cornet. Let's get a decent level. really interesting texture and tone to that instrument, especially as you push to the top end. Kind of a squeakier, more rubbery grinding sound. No, those can be negative terms, but not in this case. Like, I mean that in the best possible way. And again, I love even at top dynamics, there's already expression in those samples. It's like it's already musically engaged. Cool. Let's do the non-vibrato. I don't know why that one note kind of blowed out. Something about that re-triggering that it thinks I want to go super hard. I'm sure that has something to do with the velocity layers, but yeah, in most cases I like the non-vibrato, maybe a bit better. Let's go to the staccato one. That is the limiter cramping out. Let's pull back on the level stuff here. Yeah, still, again, I know what they said in the video. Like, this is like once you get the MIDI in there, into your MIDI editor, your MIDI recording, it's probably going to read really nicely there without any kind of typical latency or other issues. Playing this, even at this buffer, is a bit of lag there. So it's going to be, you're going to have to anticipate that and work with that. It's perfectly playable, but you just need to know that's in there. Playing stuff that nobody would ever play. Cool. Let's do the non-vibrato sustain. So that's really the dynamic range you can expect from this based on so far what we've played here. So yeah, that's like stylistically what it's going for there. Let's try a custom position here. Again, let's go all the way over there. And I'll put legato non-vibrato. Interestingly enough, that kind of influences the sense of the legato quite a bit. I don't know why some of the initial notes kind of blow out really hard. I'm sure that's a velocity thing. Yeah, very nice. Original position. So in here it sounds a lot kind of brighter, more aggressive, and putting it to the custom over there. Sounds kind of softer and a bit darker. So this is a really interesting thing because it changes the color quite a bit. So actually a super useful tool from that perspective as well. You might have the right instrument, but then you think, oh, maybe it's a bit too, you know, bright or dark, and maybe if I shift it around, seems like this shifting kind of dulls it out a bit in a good way. I mean, again, imaging seems to be very pleasant to listen to regardless where it is. So a really cool tool. And then again, even if you want to put it to the same place, you could use the custom position to change the sound, but then still pan it differently into a different place in your DAW. So this is actually a super, super versatile piece of kit, the instrument placement stuff. So very much worth exploring. Let me try the color control just a bit. I'll pull it all the way to the dark side here, I guess. So, yeah, okay, let's pull it all the way up. Okay, so that increases volume as well. Pull back the level here, limiter clipping. Again, if I play the first note very loud, it does indeed come in very loud. I don't know when that would be useful. You can kind of play a short note with that. Maybe that's... Okay, I'm going back to dark color. There's a big level difference there, so you've got to be aware of that. Not sure what I make of that, because it sounds like such a drastic level difference. This is the neutral color. Yeah, big level difference. Color all the way up. So yeah, I what I like about this is that all of it sounds very natural. It's just kind of a different thing. I like the tone of it. It doesn't get, because these kind of controls can easily just sound like you're overblowing an EQ. It's like too many highs, and then maybe it adds some compression or saturation or whatever, and it just gets really bad and brittle sounding. These are very tastefully done, so I like that they've sort of thought about, okay, what are the good sounding musical extremes that are just sort of within like a matter of like a tasteful spectrum of like, this is the high end of making it as bright or kind of upfront as possible, and then this is more like you know, a darker one. The level difference here makes it quite different to compare these. I'm actually surprised that the color difference amounts, at least on the solo soprano cornet, amounts to such a big level difference, because it makes it difficult to, you know, determine whether it's good or bad, and that makes such a big level difference that then you would need to change the level of the instrument in context. I would expect this to be like a Again, like a tone control more than anything. Yeah, so that's interesting. Doesn't quite do what I would expect it to do. So I would love to see that kind of level maybe matched a bit more and hear like a tone difference there. Because now it seems like just an extension of the dynamics. So I would probably revisit that and adjust it a bit if I was doing something with it. Let's move on to the solo Flugelhorn. Very nice, kind of a soft tone. I'm really liking how these instruments give a very kind of different color and texture range compared to like a lot of the typical orchestral brass section things. So this gives like a big textural toolkit. Again, this low end here. That was the limiter, clipping just an inch. Very soft, round, very nice tone. Pull the color down. It just mostly, to me, sounds like a kind of more tucked in dynamics. There's a bit of limiter clipping there as well. Pull that back. So it seems to me like the color control is more like a, how would I describe it? Like how aggressive it gets. Kind of gets more aggressive and pushy in the top end. Again, not in a bad way. It's just get more like, it's like a dynamics extender control in a way. Because you pull it back and it becomes sort of more tamed. Push it in and it becomes more aggressive. So that's what I would sort of think of it as, just based on just, laying my hands on it. This is a legato non-vibrato. Cool, let's go into the staccatos. Nobody would ever play that actually, but I just had to. Yeah, those are nice, kind of puffy, sharp, feels pretty responsive. Again, the bit of the lag, the delay makes the contact point to it a bit harder. It will probably result in better sounding, you know, brass parts in the actual, once you get it in there into the into your DAW. But playing that, you got to work with that lag, or yeah, I wouldn't go perhaps smaller in buffer size than 128, but you know, there you go. Cool. Let's go into the solo tenor horn. Let us pull back the level. Already loving how kind of soft, smooth, silky, puffy this is. Listen to those kind of distortive qualities that come from the air blowing. It's beautiful, like puffy grit. Beautiful. Let's do the legato non-vibrato. Limiter, clipping, yeah, you can tell that these have that kind of musical context that this has been, you know, based on the sampling paste, based on that very specific musical style. And I'm really glad that it shows, because it gives a very different color and tone altogether compared to sort of more, or like an orchestral type of a tone. Beautiful color, beautiful textures, really nice. Very cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'm great at demonstrating the sustains, because I just don't use them myself. Again, tenuto as well, very contextual to the part, but you know, more rare for sure. But done really well. You can expect them to be as good as the legatos and staccatos are overall. So let's go to the solo euphonium. And I think euphonium? How dare you? What about you telling me I'm phonium? That's the worst joke I've ever made. I dare to push this level a bit. Again, that slight clip was the limiter. Yeah, I mean, to me, this, like, a lot of these textures and tones are just very interesting. They reside in a very interesting space when it comes to brass instruments. So this would really complement, like, if you had like your main brass orchestral library, or even like soloist orchestral library. This would really complement that, because this gives you an extension of so many of the textures that we love from those traditional brass instruments. This one is the legato non-vibrato. As you see, it just plays really, really beautifully. Staccato. Yeah, very beautiful sounding. I love how you can push a bit of that grit, a bit of that bite out of them. Very responsive. They get nice and quiet. You can play with those kind of textures really nicely. Again, delay is enough for me, even at this buffer. to make it so that I can't be super sharp with my playing, but you're probably a better player, so it's less of an issue. Cool. Tenuto short. Sorry for the crappy playing. Cool. Let me see where we're going right now. Cool. So that's all of the instruments. Let's do the side panel here. Yep. Making just sure we cover everything. Is there something I want to jump into deeper? I don't think so. This covered the ground, I think, pretty well. So to summarize, first of all, like I said, I love the fact that this gives you these, I can't say alternative instruments, but like if you're mostly working with orchestral brass sections, you're not gonna have these instruments in there. And I think these also work in that context a lot, because I know a lot of you are writing orchestral music with that kind of stuff. So this will give you an extension of the texture. You can do with your brass sections. Going to give you kind of different interpretations of like the brass tone and the texture. So super useful in that way. I do agree that this will probably blend really well with a lot of different libraries out there. That's one of the things I love about Fracture Sounds stuff. It's just so kind of crisp and pure and clean and sort of pristine, which kind of is one of their kind of trademarks or things that I recognize them by. So, and that means, and because of the imaging is so beautiful and so flexible with, well, first of all, the mic impositions, but especially now today with the instrument placement thing, which is actually a hell of a lot more useful than I expected, because it doesn't, mess up your imaging. Quite the opposite. It just gives you a different imaging sensation. And like I said, this really, to me, is more like even like a tone control, like a tone. Yeah, let's just say tone control, because it does change the characteristics of the instrument quite a lot. So you have an immense amount of control when it comes to, you can find the right instrument for the job, but if you feel like, oh, it's not quite sitting right, open this bad boy up and try different positions and find the best color and tone that it gives. Maybe before you do that, I would actually start with the original placement and play with the mic perspectives. Again, because as it has done in so many of the previous Fracture Sounds releases that we've checked out, it gives you such a big spectrum of tonal options. Like this is really like a tonal control. Obviously, it's more, it does take things closer and further away, but I can't say even more than that, but it does change the sound or the perception of the instrument drastically. And then you add the custom positioning with it, which gives beautiful imaging, but just like a very different perception of the instrument. So this, I would struggle to see how this could not supplement, every single brass instrument library out there. And like I said, all these instruments give a very different textural spectrum to the brass instrument as a whole. So it can really patch those holes when you're writing something and you find like, oh, the horn doesn't quite, French horn doesn't do it, or the tuba doesn't do it, or the trumpet doesn't do it. Maybe one of these can do it. And obviously they're soloists only, so no sections, but you can also layer these really, really easily and well with ensembles and stuff like that. So very useful. To sum up the playing here, again, fantastic as expected. Fracture sounds experienced. It plays beautifully. The legatos are really effortlessly stunning. Staccatos sound really good, but even at a buffer size of 128, there is a bit of lag, I would expect, because of how this is kind of laid out and set up. But it's still playable, but it, for a player of my caliber, which is not much to speak of to begin with, it is tough for me to do like faster stuff, because I kind of you need to be like a slight buffer ahead of what you're doing, and I'm a very responsive player. I respond to what I'm hearing there. So if it's not absolutely in real time or very close, it does disrupt my sort of ability to play. So something to consider. Sustains, again, I'm not a sustain user. I just prefer to do legatos and then individual lines instead of harmonizing here on the keyboard, because I want to hear the transition legato things, even if I'm doing like more chord type stuff. So yeah, I mean, for sustains, they're good. They do what sustains do. So if that's you, go for it. Didn't quite catch the performance shorts thing. To me, again, at my sort of playing level and my ability to keep in mind what it's doing at each velocity level, not super useful. But as you are a better player than I am, maybe you'll find more use to it. And also, yeah, I'll mainly probably stick to the staccato in most cases as I'm playing. And the tenutos, again, sound great. The color control, like I said, feels more to me like, what did I say earlier? Like a dynamics spectrum control, because as you pull it down, it gets noticeably quieter. Maybe a bit darker, but mainly I just noticed the volume change. And as you push it, it becomes louder significantly. There I can, because it's louder, I can hear the slight brightness change, and it sort of gets a bit more aggressive. So this is like an aggression control. So pull it back, less aggressive, and pull it up, it's more. Or you can think of it as like a extension of the dynamics. It's like a dynamic spectrum control to me. I don't really think of this as a color control much. Mic positions, they sounded really darn good. Every single one of them in their own way. And the beauty of this perspective slider is that you can mix and match. And yeah, again, this alone makes it super diverse. We didn't play with the legato mode a ton, but I didn't find playing legatos that I would be tweaking that at all. I'm sure if once I get into writing tracks with this and put it in, it's in the MIDI editor, and then I notice maybe slight details, I'll probably go in there and switch to classic when needed. But based on that, I wouldn't need to touch that. So cool. I think that covers everything here. I think this is really worth considering if you want to expand the brass solo capabilities that you want to have, even if you're not familiar with the type of music that is typically written with these type of brass kind of band instruments. Still very much worth considering, because they extend your brass capabilities a lot. There's a lot of really lovely textures here that you just don't get with any of the standard brass orchestra brass section. So really, really cool stuff. This has obviously been out for some time already, so many of you must have this at home or at your studio already. So if you do, let me know what you think. I would love to hear your take on it. And I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff, but please do educate me. And also, as always, let me know what you think of this video. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.